Good morning. I am Sridhar Kumar here from PhD Typhocode, PhD College of Technology, Coimbatore. Shall we proceed now, Mr. Shankar?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So hopefully you might have completed a beautiful presentation from Mr. Dr. Karnavaran. And in this presentation, we are going to talk more about the various technologies used in additive side. Before going to this presentation, let me have a brief introduction about the center where I am working at PSG. The PSG Typhocode, the center was established in 2001 with support of DST, Government of India, under the scheme of TIFAC. And this center is specialized in product design. We have facilities for product design. Specifically, the customers used to visit us for the new product development. Maybe some of the customers may come with uh, freehand sketch and then converting that into 3D model, then taking to the level of proto. So this center has facility for both designing and as well as for the proto model development. So now we will go to the presentation. So we are today talking about how this additive manufacturing technology was adopted by the industry in the early stage, and later on how this technology been taken for the different kind of application in the routine day-to-day life, and also we will discuss about most common technologies which are widely used by the industries for the various application. And I also have a small portion of the contribution of PhD Typhocode for the medical side. And probably this was the center, first center in India, used additive manufacturing for medical application. And that also we will see it in the today. So now we can see here any new product development in the industry, which happens like strategy would be worked out, then idea would be generated, then different kind of concepts will be generated, and we will screen it and we will select a particular concept and test that concept whether that will suit for our application. Once it is accepted in the product development team, then a business analysis would be done. Either this product can be economically produced, competitive to the existing products of same kind, what are the advantage or additional feature in this product. Once all the things are get convinced, then we will go for the development of the product. Once that is developed, then we will go for the market testing and then commercialization. So these are the various steps involved in the a new product development in an industry. So in the early times, probably in somewhat around 2-3 decades before, the additive manufacturing is largely used for the proto model development in the engineering side, largely for the automobile segment. So generally we call this technology as rapid prototyping technology. Generally we call it as rapid prototyping machine. Later on only the other factors, other names like additive manufacturing, 3D printing, layer manufacturing, all these things are being introduced. So now let us see here the additive manufacturing, the technology grown from simple prototyping to assisting in concept development for the final product development. So this is what the development happened, because any new product development during that, so proto model development is a important stage where the industry has to spend more time for the identifying the technology, material, and the craftsman and all. So earlier, probably some 2-3 decades before, if you see then most of the industries use the conventional method for the proto model development. Maybe the alternate material would be in wood or clay or plastic, sometimes maybe wax, different kind of materials. and even some limited thing, and the metal is also being used for the proto model development. But there, since the human involvement is more, the skill plays a lot of the role. So the final product what we developed, the proto model generated with all the effort from the 2D or the 3D developer, would be having a lot of mismatching. So where the industry has to convince itself and proceed for the regular production afterwards for the tool manufacturing and other things. So whereas once the 3D modeling software is being developed, and also this rapid prototyping machines also developed, so the industry used the shortest way of producing the proto model within a short period. So this reduced their proto model development time in the industry, so that a lot of new products have been produced per annum in an industry. So this is what the additive or the 3D printing was introduced into the industry. So later on, you can see here in the traditional linear manufacturing, what we have seen in the new product, any product development, would be following all conventional methods. When we talk about the concurrent engineering, eventually this additive also been included into that. So with a complete team collaboration, the product development, the new products can be developed within short period. So the time spent for the proto model development in conventional method can be completely eliminated. That is the reason now we can see the industries, or specifically if you see in the automobile segment, a lot of new vehicles been launched in the last 15-20 years because of the development happened in this segment. So now, while talking about rapid prototyping, how this machine supported or this technology supported the industry, they can realize the design concepts perfectly, as like is the problems what we faced in conventional methods by using skilled manpower, tools and all, completely can eliminate it. So whatever we could able to, we are able to see in the screen in the 3D model, which can be easily produced as a product without much difficulty, without much human involvement. And second thing, once the proto model is developed, if you would like to incorporate any changes on the design, which can be incorporated easily within short period, which saves a lot of time and as well as cost. And customizing designs are also possible. You can freeze some design, and from that we can take it up and go for the new designs where we can incorporate some of the requirement as per the customer, and minimizing the design flaws. These are some of the advantages of the rapid prototyping technology once introduced into the industry. And probably you might have known what exactly the definition. It's basically a creation of the reality model layer by layer by accepting CAD file as input. So this machine will convert the CAD data into a physical model. So that is what generally we call it as rapid prototyping machine. The technology may be deposition process or by solidification or even by any other methodology where the information will be taken layer by layer from the CAD and the real product would be produced. So this is the shortest way you can explain how additive will vary from the subtractive manufacturing. In the additive we can see, in the subtractive we can see the material would be given a solid block, and unwanted things would be removed from the block, and only the wanted portion will be retained here, which generates a lot of material as wastage. Once if you are coming to this one additive side, so you can take the material whatever we require that would be consumed here, and the product also will be having similar kind of quality, even better than the conventional subtractive manufacturing, and generate only lesser material as wastage. So, and later on, this was becoming one among the manufacturing activities that leads in reduction in product development and in industry. And And you can see here again how generally the process in additive side, the 3D CAD model in STL format would be taken, and the additive machine will be having two sides. One is the software side and this hardware. The software side, all your CAD data will be processed, and in the hardware side, the manufacturing happens. So once the STL file being given to additive machine, so there is a software to slice your CAD data into number of layers. So every additive machine will be having, control the layer thickness, which varies from few microns to the level of even mm. So according to the slicing, the number of layers should be generated. Once if the layer thickness is more, you can find a little rougher surface, and if you are going for fine layers, you will be getting the smooth surface. So once the your CAD data is sliced, then the toolpath generation happens. Then that would be forwarded to the printer where the complete production happens. Now see how various technologies works on that. So this is the process which what we have seen CAD model and then STL and slicing and given to the printer, and the final product would be realized. So why prototype is required in the industry? These all the advantage of additive compared to the conventional methods in the prototyping technologies. So most of the cases it would be a scaled down version of the real product because of the build platform restrictions in the additive machines. Nowadays we could able to get bigger build platform machines, but in the early stage the build platform of 250 by 250 by 250 mm was most common. And nowadays you can get even a cubic meter size of additive machine. So nowadays, most of the product will be as such being taken for the proto model, and this will support, communicate the complete features to the tool engineers or process planners and even to the manufacturing. You can communicate easily with the proto model developed with support of additive machine to the various sector of industry. So where the communication would be good, and even for the verification of the design, also to some extent for the flow and stress method type of analysis can be conducted on proto model developed in these machines. And any interference during assembly, any complex fitment and assembly also can be easily analyzed by using the model or the proto developed by using additive side. And how this technology being largely used by various industries. You can see the automobile sector is the largest user of this one, after that the consumer product, and business machines, medical side, academic, aerospace and defense sector, and rest of the things actually. So this is approximate usage of this technology in various industries. And where and all this technology can be used, we can see here. It can be used in your product development cycle to reduce your duration of the product development from the months to days, and also it supports the engineers to test their ideas in their lab, the R&D side. They can generate new products and test their ideas, whether how it will look or how it will work. All these things can be done with the shortest period. So where the 3D printers are largely used. And even the medical side, it will communicate any complicated cases where while the doctors go for the surgery, they can able to have a surgical model. That means the critical surgery cases in the CT format would be given to the 3D lab, where it would be converted into a 3D printable format from the CT, and then it would be a proto or a real product or real model of the particular organ can be generated, where the doctor can easily analyze and plan the surgery. That we will see in the later slides how it supports and all. And in some cases for the teaching aids or learning aids, the models can be easily printed instead of showing on the screen. If a real product, if you have it on hand. So to produce a models to use it as a teaching aid, it will be largely used, and even the architecture side, it will be used largely. And also to most of the industries to make a market potential for their product, they used to produce a few numbers and give it to their marketing executives to interact with their existing customers to explain the new product advantage compared to the existing one. In that way, it supports to make a survey of the market potential. And also, mold and tool and dye industry also, it supports, when we talk about the tooling, it would be a highly expensive process. So before going for the final tool, it can be, a final product can be produced in additive, or even some of the castings. We will see that also. Any critical metal parts, before going for the expensive tooling, there are some opportunities in additive where you can able to produce patents for castings, investment casting. So a minimum number of patents should be produced, and the material of your choice you can prefer, and you can go for the investment casting or last wax casting, generally we call it as. So the wax pattern is completely substituted with the pattern produced in additive machine. So then they will go for the shell molding and dewaxing and burnout, and they can go for the pouring of their alloys or metals of their choice. So this any metal part production in the proto side, no need of going for the expensive tooling. So you can substitute that with pattern manufacturing. So these are the areas which are largely used, and you can. This already we have seen where and all it is being largely. You can see in mold and dye industry, the metal additive will be largely used to produce cooling channels inside the critical plastic injection molding dies to increase the production cycle. And even the jewelry is the other area which accepted this technology to reduce their production, in fact, not generally as a product development, even the production. And the rest of the industries you can see largely the technology is used. And this is the history. The very first machine, first technology was developed by Charles Wood. It's called as stereography in Germany. And this technology is still in the industry, widely used for the, the patents for the soft mold, vacuum casting process, and also to produce photo models for the requirement. And later on, FDM, Polygate, SLS, various kind of technologies being developed. So this is the one of you can see various. I hope you can able to visualize on the screen. You can see the major categorization starts from matte polymerization, material extrusion, material jetting, binder jetting, powder bed fusion, and direct energy deposition and sheet lamination. So these are some of the tentative classification we can say on additive. On technology wise, matte polymerization, you can see other there are three large subdivisions: SLA, which is largely used in the industry, and digital light processing (DLP), and continuous digital light processing. And when talking about material extrusion, we all know that fusion deposition molding. Nowadays, a lot of desktop printers are produced cheapest cost, which are available in the market. Nowadays, you can see in the engineering colleges, most of the department used to have a small desktop printer for their academic or training purpose. And material jetting, you can see there are again three kind of thing. One is UV light, the other is heat based, other two. And binder jetting is the technology which is largely used for the sand pour development for the casting purpose. And powder bed fusion, there are multi-jet fusion is available, selective laser sintering, and direct metal laser sintering, and electron beam melting. These are the technologies comes under this category. And direct energy deposition lens and electron beam additive manufacturing, these two. And laminated object manufacturing is the other thing which comes under sheet lamination. So these are the technologies which are available as of now. And there are new developments which are happening, and you can see here some of the companies which produced this kind of machines. And when we talk about SLA, 3D System is one of the main producer from Germany. They have operations in US and the rest of the world also. And China-based companies are coming largely in SLA technology. The machines are cheaper and materials also cheaper compared to the other, either Europe or American-based companies. And Envision Tech is the other one, which is in DLP. And again in CDLP also Envision Tech. And you can see some other manufacturers of rest of the things. So this will give you a complete idea about what are the technologies, what are the machines, and who are all the producer of these particular machines. So these are some of the basics, supports for the academicians and as well as for the students. And when we go for wet polymerization, I am just going to explain very few technologies which are largely used by the industry. Stereolithography, as we have told, is SLA, which is having a large level of usage in industry, engineering industry, specifically in automobile side. How this technology works also you can see here. And these are some of the machines produced by 3D Systems. And this technology is basically a photopolymerization. Photopolymer will be taken as a liquid photopolymer will be taken as a raw material. And mostly this is the laser supported machine. And the input would be given as a CAD model in STL format, and slicing and all most common in all the additive. After one slicing is over, you can see here the build platform will be moved with support of a piston here. And this is the build platform you can see here. So in the early stage of the process, the build platform would be in the topmost layer of the resin, and the CAD model will be fed to the software side of the machine, and slicing everything will be happened. There is a scanning mirror which will take the input from the CAD data and pass on to the production side. So the laser, wherever it scans, in that area the resin will get solidified. So the bottommost layer of the CAD would be taken in the early, the preliminary level of production. Once that particular layer production and the solidification happens, the piston moves down and the fresh layer of resin will be spotted over. The distance which moves towards bottom is equivalent to the layer thickness what we prefer in our layer. So accordingly, the build happens here. So it is basically photo-curable polymer will be taken as the raw material, and with support of the laser and the production or solidification happens. And you can see here various size of machine, and even here build size of 1500 by 750 by 550 mm. Generally, we call it as 2x 950, and that is the largest machine. But when we go for any component or a part with a minimum wall thickness, usually will not support much because there are possibilities for warpage. So when we go for a very big build platform size, but you can accommodate a reasonably good size of the parts. More number of parts can be added in a single build, so that will reduce the cost of production directly. So the output from SLA will be having a smooth surface compared to the other technologies, either SLS or FDM. That is the advantage of this technology, to use the parts produced in SLA largely for the master usage in vacuum casting process. And the other thing, DLP, the same thing like as SLA, but here the light would be used as energy source to solidify. Where in SLA you can see the production happens from the top to bottom. Here it happens from the bottom towards this side. So that is the only variation. So the other one is the fused deposit modeling, what we have talked about, which finds a lot of usage in the industry. It's a material extrusion family, which comes under material extrusion family, and You can find in this machine there are two layers, generally we call it as tips. Through that, the extruded metal will be taken for the printing. So these are the raw material storage, which would be the raw material would be in a filament form and would be kept in a roller, and it will be taken to the extruder where it gets liquefied, and this moving tips will take the input from the CAD information and built on a platform. Generally, the 3D printer, the term is derived from this particular technology, because it's work like as our desktop, regular desktop printer. How your documents, what you are seeing on the screen will be transferred to your printer on table the same day. And that's a 2D printer, this is a 3D printer. Instead of ink, here it will be a liquefied liquid polymer, liquid plastic will be taken. Whereas the real raw material will be in a filament form, which will come through this here, and it will be extruded and it will be converted into a liquid polymer. There will be a small reservoir for the liquid polymer here. So this moving, there are the two tips you can see. One will act as a to work for a main material. The other one will be used for the support material. The support material, which is very essential on all additive side, largely for the polymer, specifically in SLA and FDM. So the support, you can see a small video here, built of a aircraft, how it happens in a FDM technology.
The model is oriented within the computer exactly as it will be built in the FDM machine. Orientation may affect build time, strength of features, and support material generation. Once the model is oriented, the software divides the model into evenly spaced planar sections, each measuring as small as a few thousandths of an inch. Supports are then generated for overhanging sections. Each layer consists exclusively of non-overlapping and non-intersecting curves. Tool paths are created in the regions indicating whether the FDM machine should extrude model material or support material. Once the tool paths controlling the XY movements have been generated for all layers, a file is created and sent to the FDM machine. Inside the heated build envelope, the model material in filament form is heated to a less viscous state for extrusion. The model is built layer by layer from the bottom up. On each layer, the extrusion tips follow the tool paths calculated in the computer. After each layer is completed, the plate drops and a new layer is added. When the final layer is complete, the model part can be removed. After support material is removed, you are left with a strong, durable, and functional prototype.
So this video shows how the FDM works. Most probably almost all the engineering education institutions will be having this machine. And most probably all we know about this particular material, extrusion-based technology. But how this will be largely used by industry, this is one of the biggest FDM machine as of available. It's barely a build platform size of a cubic meter from a company, Stratasys. This machine was installed at High-Tech in 2010. And we have options for more than 5 different kind of plastic material. ABS, PC, and aluminum is most commonly used material for various applications. And there is option for even a polyphenol sulfur, a high thermal requirement material, PPSF, and even nylon. These are the things available. And you can see, other than this, the biggest platform and even smaller platform size machines also available from Stratasys. So the next level is a polyjet. It's a material jetting. Under material jetting, we are going to see the polyjet. This technology, why I'm taking is, this is largely used for the bio application. This machine is capable of printing various colors and as well as transparent also in a single build. So if any component, for example, you can see some of the components built in here, the shoe would be having a different color material and as well as a short hardness of sole would be entirely different from the shoe top regions. And you can see here a flexible rubber. So in a single build, rigid and as well as flexible part, color as well as transparent, so it can be built in a single application. So this is the advantage of this PolyJet. And you can see here a machine from Stratasys again. Now J750 is stopped, now J850 is launched recently. And your build platform, you can go up to even 1,800, 500. And there are possibilities to incorporate lakhs of colors together. You can, you can add of your color choice. And you can build this kind of bio parts in this. So this machine is finding a lot of application in the medical side that I will explain with a case study how this machine was used for preparation of a teaching aid for medical students. That I will have your slides for that in a later stage. And the other thing is multi-jet fusion, MJF. HP is a machine which launched quite some few years back, widely accepted by the industry. Largely used material, this is the nylon, and you can build your functional parts in this. It's a multi-jet fusion. Here, how this technology works, it's a powder bed based one. A powder will be spread on a build platform. At the initial stage, your fusing agent will be injected, where and all the profiles are there. Then the detailing agent also jetted through the contours, where to improve the part resolution, to give a good shape to the and the component profiles. Then a moving lamp will be passing over the surface of the powder. So wherever the fusing agent being injected, that particular area, the material absorbs heat and it will get fused or polymerized together. So that is what this technology works. HP is having this technology, and they have 3-4 sizes of the machine, build pump sizes, and at present they are using largely nylon material. Functional parts can be easily produced in this. And the next is a powder bed fusion. You can see the selective laser sintering, one of the latest technology. And again a powder bed phase one. And you can see a small video to explain this particular technology.
A CAD design is transferred to the center station. A roller then deposits a
You can see
precise
the powder
amount
will
of
be
powder
spread
over the
out,
builder.
and the laser, the source comes from the top.
A single layer of the build area piston lowers, and the roller deposits another layer of material to be sintered. This process continues, and in a matter of hours, the entire part has been built.
So here in this video, you can see there is a build platform supported by moving pistons in the bottom, and, and there will be a powder feeder on both the side. You can see that roll will, a moving roller you might have seen in this video.
A CAD design
This
is transferred
will
to the center station.
spread the powder
A precise amount of powder.
throughout the
The
build
laser
platform,
sinters or almost melts the powder to form a single
and the
layer.
laser, which you can see the laser source on the top of the machine.
Another layer of material to be sintered. This process continues, and in a matter of hours, the entire part has been built.
So the laser will take the input from the CAD and it scan over the powder, and wherever the profile is there, that particular area, the powder get fused or polymerized. The rest of the area, the powder would be in a powder form itself. So once the particular layer production happens, the build platform moves down, the next layer of powder will be spread over, and the information of the next layer will be taken from the CAD. Like I said, in stereolithography, the laser would be, the raw material is different there. It's a photocurable polymer, here it's a powder. So along with the selective laser sintering, there are, you can see some EOS based machine with a build platform of 340 by 600 mm. And build speed, you can see. These are some of the specs of this particular machine. Apart from that, 3D system is having. The first machine launched under this technology was produced by a company called DTR. Later on, that company was taken over by 3D Systems. And EO is also producing less regular assembling machines. This machine also finds a lot of usage in the industry. Generally, nylon and glass fill nylon kind of material will be largely used in this thing. And one of our research faculty in your research used this one to produce HA-based nylon biocompatible material for some of the research by using the machine available at our center. So next thing is under this powder bed fusion, we can find electron beam melting for the metal. There are metal itself. There are a huge classification. You can see largely about two important classifications. One is a powder bed fusion, and there is a powder will be injected through the nozzle, and the energy source also will be joined together. It's generally called as direct energy deposition, DED. So this EBM and DMLS, direct metal assembling, and all, generally we call it as powder bed fusion. So here the energy source is electron beam, and it's a generation area. And the advantage of EBM machines, which largely used for aerospace and medical application, because the whole build happens in a vacuum atmosphere. Most of the laser machines works in a net atmosphere with support of a filling the built atmosphere with inert gases like nitrogen, helium, argon kind of thing. So here the complete air or the atmosphere will be eliminated, vacuumized, so to reduce the opportunities for the contamination. So that is the reason this particular technology finds a lot of usage in aerospace and medical application. In medical application, if you see, this technology is largely used to produce implants, generally ortho implants, hip joints, knee joints, and customized implants for the maxillofacial and cranoplasty kind of surgery. And this is a small video of how this EBM technology works.
The additive manufacturing industry continues to accelerate as more and more businesses see the value in this revolutionary technology. Setting the pace is GE Additive's latest EBM innovation, a system that's enabling a new phase of high-volume industrial production. At the center of this next-generation system is the Arcam EBM Spectra H, a machine capable of producing parts at temperatures exceeding 1,000 degrees Celsius, has increased build sizes and speeds while simplifying operation. Spectra operates within a closed-loop system to create a dust-tight environment, ensuring powders are completely contained and never cross-contaminated or exposed to external elements. It starts in the powder hoppers, featuring an automatic shutoff valve that eliminates the risk of powder spilling. A new powder distribution system automatically creates a smooth, even layer for optimal part production. This simplified build preparation ensures reliability and repeatability while reducing dependency on manual operators. Key to Spectra H's ability to deliver market-leading high-temperature production is the newly designed build chamber. Movable heat shields create improved insulation, forming the ideal environment for exceptional part production. An auto-calibrated 6-kilowatt beam delivers a 100% increase in power to provide up to 50% faster builds, allowing manufacturers to begin transitioning into high-volume outputs. Boosting production capacity also comes from Spectra H's expanded build volume, 39% larger than the previous generation EBM machine. With this extended platform, it's possible to print larger parts than ever before and produce more parts at one time. And with Spectra H's high heat capability, users can incorporate new alloys such as titanium aluminide into production to expand their offerings, including high-temperature anti-corrosive materials. When the part build is complete, the entire build tank is removed and placed in the Spectra Powder Recovery System docking station to maintain powder integrity. Once in position, the part is cleaned with compressed air and powder. In the PRS, smaller particles are removed in a cyclone cleanup. After that, the powder passes through a magnetic separator to remove any metallic satellites picked up in the cleaning process. After the part is removed from the PRS, the loose powder is automatically transferred in a closed system to a barrel. The closed-loop process is maintained as the sealed barrel is moved to a newly designed auto-dosing sieve, where oversized particles are separated, and the powder again passes through a magnetic separator. Faster builds, increased reliability, and leading production at high temperatures. The Spectra H and next-gen EBM system deliver a new level of capabilities, helping additive manufacturers do more in less time and grow their opportunities like never before.
So this video shows, it's a basic video, it shows the complexity in metal additive manufacturing compared to the plastic one. So what we are largely heard about the plastic, and the metal is coming up nowadays in India. A lot of installations are happening in the recent past for the various applications, starts from engineering, aerospace, defense, and medical application. Different kind of technologies, either it may be a laser-based one or an electron beam-based one or any other energy source. But the technology of metal additive is little complicated than on the plastic one. And the handling of plastic machines are quite easy. When we talk about the metal, it will be having a little bit critical operational procedure, because the metal parts needed a lot of functional requirements. So a lot of factors has to be controlled during the built itself. So there is a reason it will be a little bit expensive. This particular technology, what you are seeing here, is the electron beam. This technology was developed by a company called Arcam from Sweden, and GE started using this technology to produce some particular valve system for the aircraft engine, and later on they procured a large quantity of machines from Arcam, and one fine day they have taken over the company. Now this company was owned by GE, and these are some of the components produced in electron beam technology, EBM machine. A lot of, you can see the implants here, titanium based implants. So this machine is capable of using the materials like cobalt, chromium, titanium successfully for the medical and aerospace for the other engineering application also. So apart from that, the technology called DMLS, direct metal laser sintering, and all will be having a range of material options. And you can a small list here. This is the materials used in laser-based powder bed fusion machines, and these are the materials used in electron beam-based powder bed fusion technology. And you can find here the laser machines will be having a lot of material options, which can be largely used for different applications. Starts from titanium, cobalt, chromium, tool steel, stainless steel, inconel, aluminum, copper, tungsten, and as well as precious materials. When we come into the electron beam, the material developments are still happening, but largely titanium and cobalt, chromium finds the usage, and inconel also to some extent. And recently, copper has been included into that, and some of the research are going on for the usage of stainless steel in electron beam. So this laser-based machines finds a lot of usage in tooling industry. As I said, the conformal cooling channels development, specifically for the tool development for the plastic injection molding. So there, this technology supports very well, and there will be a lot of advantage and disadvantage for each of the technologies. And based on the application, we can opt for the technologies. In case if you're going for the general engineering, laser-based one will be sufficient, since you can use a lot of material options. But keeping more material options also give opportunity for the contamination. So during the handling, so it is we have to be very careful in handling the machine while you are going for the different kind of materials. Though there will be a separate PRS systems and a cleaning procedure, but there are possibilities for the contamination of material each other. So that is what we have to. So usually the industry is used to opt for either one or two materials to avoid this kind of complications in contamination. So beyond that, they will go for a separate machine for individual materials. That depends upon their the financing involvement and their business potential, all these things will be taken into account. But generally, if you see, we have seen both plastic and metal additive manufacturing technologies. So plastic is largely used for the proto-model development, and some cases, functional parts also been produced in plastic additive manufacturing. And in most of the cases, will be used for the proto-model generation. Regular part productions are happening with FDM with materials like titanium, Altum or PMMA kind of thing, where these materials can produce functional parts which can be directly used for your functional application. And whereas in metal side, most of the things will be produced for the functional requirements. Okay, and this is the valve system which I have told you, nozzle produced by GE by using Orcam machine. You can see here even how the component is designed. This is generally 3D printer nozzle combined all. Before it is having the assembly of more than 20 parts, and it is being produced as a single build here, single part here, eliminating all these assembly issues. And also you can, this part has got 25% lesser material. So when you are reducing the material, one way to reduce the cost and as well as without compromising on the strength and other thing, so it would be highly economical. So these are some of the healthcare products produced in metal additive side. Generally, hip joints and knee joints, which are largely produced in metal additive manufacturing, and also for the cranioplasty, maxillofacial kind of requirement, a patient-specific implants. Generally, we call it as a person met with an accident, there is a damage in the skull, rectifying that kind of application where we need a customized parts, not a standard implants like hip joints or the knee joints. So in this kind of applications, the doctors use it to share their defected part CT data, and the additive industry will receive that data and they will work on it and they will convert it as a 3D printable format in STL, and later on it will be taken for the printing. When we talk about the medical application side, generally implants, a lot of approval processes are there. You have to get it approved from the concerned bodies, from the concerned government, like SFDA in America, and the EU has got their own standards and agencies to certify. So that are the very important thing, and a lot of research is needed since it is going inside the human body. So almost that is the reason this EBM is finding more application, which I told you, specifically in EBM, in aerospace and medical side. Both the things are required high standard of production and nil chance for the contamination. And since the EBM has a high energy source, residue stress can be eliminated, and indirectly the post-processing can be minimized. So like it depends upon the functional thing the post-processing is to do. So these are some healthcare products, and this is again a component used for. You can see here a turbo intercoolers produced in aluminum. The same thing is produced in additive with lesser weight and as well as without compromising on the strength actually. So tooling industry, as I told, this kind of tooling channels to increase the production cycle. Generally, DMLS and SLM finds a lot of application in this segment. Direct metal laser sintering and circulation melting. Both are laser powder bed fusion technologies. So this will be largely used to produce conforming cooling channels in tooling industry, specifically in the plastic injection molding to reduce the production, to increase the production cycle, to reduce the cooling time. And this is the other application possibility in topology optimization. By using this, we can reduce the part size, material consumption, And also, we can see how the material is eliminated to produce a component of with lesser material and lesser weight without compromising on the quality parameters. So this is the other advantage topology optimization possibilities in metal additive side, makes this technology to use largely for the various applications, generally in aerospace aerospace defense side. And now we will see how this 3D printing used in the medical application. I am just going to present some of the things happened at our center. This is the one of the case. Probably some of you might have seen this kind of presentation in my earlier workshops also. But though some of them are not, might have not seen this. This was the first case what PhD Typhac has done in 2003, somewhat around 17-18 years before, in association with KMCH Hospital in Coimbatore, with Dr. Parthiban. There was a patient who met with an accident, the huge damage in the skull. We can see the damage in the CT data. There is no material in the rectal portion. So the doctor generally in those days, not nowadays, nowadays you can opt for the patient-specific implants by using either electron beam or DMLS, titanium-based material can be generated. Easily you can able to fill this gap. But in somewhat around 20 years before, doctor used to use autologous rib graft. That means the ribs will be removed from the same human body at different portions, and that will be used to close this hole like this. So rib rhinoplasty generally we call it as, and they will fill it with the skin. But it will not give much strength to the surgical area. So the doctor, Dr. Parthiban would like to make an attempt to go for a additive side to produce some of the components for the application, for this particular application. So the doctor, this is a case of prior to surgery. You can see here the damage in the skull, and this is CT data shows the clear damage very clearly. And in this case, the doctor has he was interacted with engineers in the production side, and with support of ImageWare software, a 3D model was produced to fill this gap. So a doctor and engineer sit together and design this component to match to the skill thickness. The doctor had given all the input. So accordingly, a 3D model was generated to fill this gap, and a template was produced in FDM by using ABS material. But unfortunately, this cannot be used as the implant because it's not a biocompatible one. But using this as a template, we have gone for a dental lab processing, acrylic processing, where PMMA material imported by the doctor himself was used to produce this implant. And this was successfully fixed inside the skull. This was the incision and surgical planning being done. And titanium screws and strips being used to position it in the skull. And this had given a better strengthening to the operated area than the conventional rib rhinoplasty. And this was the final fixation. Doctor, you can see he drills the skull and use the titanium screws and strips to fix the implant inside the skull. And this, the radiograph shows the presence of the implant inside very clearly, and the case prior to and later after completion of the surgery. Probably this was the first case in India in 2003. The additive was used for the surgery. Probably this prior to that there was no cases being reported like this. So somewhat around 18 years before this was happened, and later on we stopped to produce to this level and give to doctor because we need a lot of certification to produce biocompatible implants. So since we are not authorized center to produce such kind of thing, so we can support till this. And after that, even we support them in some of the cases. We produced patents, the material, as I told you. We have an option called precasting stereolithography, where the investment casting patents can be produced. Some of the doctors produce that patents here and taken outside for the casting by using biocompatible material like titanium kind of thing. So that is the procedure the doctor used to follow. And afterwards, this is the skull of a 10-month baby who had a twisted skull, a kind of defect in the skull. So the hospital has to conduct a open skull surgery for the baby. So prior to that, they would like to go for the reversal. So they had given a CT data accordingly. You can see how the CT, the first slide which I have shown here, how the scanning happens, CT, and the DICOM images from the CT data would be given to the additive lab. So there are softwares called 3D Doctor or Mimics kind of softwares are available, which convert the CT data directly into 3D printable STL format. So this will be fed to the machine to print the part. So this is what the procedure what we follow. Generally, I had given an outline, but this involves still little more precision and knowledge to fine tune it. So the next case after this baby, plenty of cases been done of similar kind for the surgical reversals. Too many cases we have done. We have done a case of thyma, that is the cancer in between lungs, liver, and heart. A patient of 14-year-old boy had a tumor of 150 mm size in between these three important organs. So highly complicated because this tumor is touching almost all the organs and crushing the organs. That is the reason the patient had some breathing issues and some other complications. So the doctor would like to conduct the surgery at the earliest possible time, but they have their own challenges. So would like to conduct a reversal. In such cases also we have produced the proto and given to the doctor to conduct the reversal on that. And then doctor had 2 reversals, then they gone for the surgery and succeeded also. They successfully removed the cancer part from the patient. And this is the lower jaw part produced for a case who met with an accident. You can see the defect in the lower jaw in the accident. This is again for the rhinoplasty case, but the patient would like to have the same aesthetic in the lower jaw as prior to accident. So the doctor used a titanium strip. Here, this is a 3D printable format. We use this output only to take the flow by fixing a titanium strip here. And then so you can see the titanium strip has fixed on the defected jaw. And the doctor has taken the aesthetic as and they have gone for the rib graft like this. And this was fixed in a patient like this. Little complicated surgery this was. But after this was conducted in 2006 or 7. After that, too many surgeries been conducted on the same idea. There are doctors who are regularly using this facility for this kind of application. And these are the things actually. And this is the twisted skull, the baby one actually. A 10-month baby skull. And this is other interesting thing. You produce your teaching aid. Probably we all know this is the trachea, the airway portion of our human body. Generally, tracheostomy would be used to find out any defects inside, like endoscopy. The camera would be sent through this thing to understand any defect in this minor portions. This is all a very thin area. A micro camera will be inserted through this airway. So usually fresh doctors, freshers, And they may not able to, they are not skilled to use the custom cameras well. So they used to insert the cameras and hurt the patient. So the patient gets hurts plenty of times. So to avoid that, we produced this one, airway. The input received from the hospital from the CT data. Getting the CT data from the hospital itself a big procedure. It has to go for plenty of approvals. Sharing information of a patient, even for the good applications, it's not an easy task in our regular procedure. So there are a lot of committees to give clearance for this kind of thing. So this is the airway produced by using a polyjet machine, what you have seen there. So while doing this kind of thing, we use the software called Mimics from a company called a Belgium-based company. So they materialized, they produced, they used to own the software. So we had taken a permission for a short period usage from the headquarters and used it and produced this airway, because that particular software has got a lot of advantage. While we are talking about organ manufacturing, so the Mimics finds a lot of application, because that software we can able to use that software to build, to produce design, and you can give various short harness at different places, and you can produce a rigid part with high strength, and as well as a part with a flexibility, rubber-like or a human tissue-like feeling. You can able to get it by using Mimics. So this Mimics can able to adjust the gray value accordingly. The hardness of the particular organ or portion should be fixed. So we were also involved in some of the things being not presented here due to NDA issues. So we also supported the hospital to produce heart for the dissection, because getting the cadavers in the hospital is not that much easy task, and every student would like to go for a dissection. So in that cases, it is not possible to provide a huge number of cadavers. So we produced heart we could not able to realize the 100% perfect one, but at least to use in a lab to understand the basic dissection procedures. We used Mimics to produce that, and then 3D doctor also to some extent. And then we printed in the same polyjet printer what you have seen here. There's some slides, a few slides back we have seen here. Yeah, here. So the same machine was used to print that kind of thing. So this machine has gone a lot of usage in biomedical application because of the advantage of producing rigid and flexible part in a single build. So even this kind of heart and other kind of applications, you can see the hand, the internal features, you can build like as-like. So these are the advantage of this machine. So this machine was used here to produce the air vent and as well as the heart also for the basic level of dissection procedures to understand for the freshers. Okay. So this is a airway produced for the teaching aid, and this is the modeling of heart by using softwares, how the CT data can be converted into a 3D model and how it is being taken. This is a thermoma case which I have told you, a tumor of in between 3 organs. This is the case. So with this, I would like to give a few more exposure of how the additive side been largely used for medical application, because the workshop is based on organ production. A lot of innovations are happening in different part of the world, and there are machines to produce tissues nowadays. Even in our institutions, a lot of R&D is going on. Research is going on in our premises itself. The PolyJet is the other good technology in association with softwares like Mimics, can be able to support the designing portion very well. So the software plays a big role in the designing, because as such, after the getting the data from hospital or from a medical institution, the CT should be converted into through a printable format, and later on you have to in case if it is for the rehearsal, kind of surgical rehearsals, kind of this kind of the thing, you can give a different colors for the different portions, so that the doctor can easily diagnose which is which, and while doing reversal surgery, they can easily move their bloods accordingly to plan their surgery while they go for the real surgical procedures. So the software is the one important thing, like as a mix kind of thing we largely use. And prior to go for the organ building, you can have PolyJet J850 kind of machine to optimize and to get the very assured orders at a different portion to realize in the real feel of a particular hardware. So then you can go for the regular projection. So these are the some of the advantage in RP in the additive side: improved visualization, communication, rehearsal for surgical procedure, and the confirmation of implant material inside. So with this basics, I would like to conclude here. And some of the things been could not able to present here due to copyright and as well as NDA procedures. So TIFAC, PAG TIFAC is monthly 2 or 3 cases we used to support the hospital sector, varying from surgical reversals and producing patents for the casting of by using materials like titanium. Doctor used to get the patent produced here and do the casting outside where the investment casting facilities are available. In that kind of applications, the particular production centers would be having a concerned certification produce such a kind of implants. So the certification is a very important thing. And second thing is the production procedures to eliminate all the contaminations since it is involved in the implant side. So these are the things where the TIFAC is strongly supporting in the medical side. So thanks for giving this opportunity. I would like to conclude here. Probably the coming days you will be having presentations more on organ printing by using various bioprinters which are available nowadays in the market to produce the real tissues for the various kind of application. Even one kind of printer is available here. I have not included much about that information here because of some of the confidential agreement. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask now.